Hello everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Find It, Fix It, Flip It. This is a series where I buy broken items, attempt to fix them and then flip them for profit. So if you remember, in the last episode I attempted to repair a Xbox One S which I purchased from eBay, and unfortunately I couldn't fix it, which means that I had to take a loss. But what I did do was I needed the hard drive for another repair in my everyday repairs, so I purchased that from myself. And also I purchased the motherboard as a donor board because of the fact that it has the rare RAM on it. So I purchased that donor board for myself, and I'm going to be keeping that for when I need that specific RAM. So I spoke to a few people who are aware of the series before it comes out, and they said that they think it should be fine. So I've purchased that from myself and recouped a little bit of money. And I'm also going to be attempting to resell the other items on eBay. Find It, Fix It, Flip It is proudly sponsored by PCBWay.com. PCBWay is the industry leader in flexible printed circuit boards, custom printed circuit boards, CNC and 3D printing. PCBWay are 100% focused on customer feedback, and right now existing customers could win up to $500 just for sharing their feedback. Simply head over to the link in the video description, share your feedback by the 31st of December 2021, and you'll be automatically entered into their prize draw. The winner of the prize draw will win a $500 cash coupon, with 3 additional entrants winning $200, 5 entrants will win $100, and an additional 10 entrants will win $50. To enter, simply share your order through the PCBWay feedback function, or share your order on your own personal social media. Simply upload the photos, enter a little description, and you'll be automatically entered. Head over to the link in the video description to learn more or to submit your entry. Now back to the video. So if we take a look at the spreadsheet here, we started with a £100 budget and we purchased an Xbox One S digital motherboard. Sadly, still not sold that. So nothing I can do there. We're still waiting for that to sell. I've got it on eBay right now for £50. I'm really hoping it sells pretty soon. We also purchased a Xbox One 1TB with 3 controllers for £60, which I successfully sold on Facebook for £90 with 1 controller. So you've got that there, so plus £90. I also have the 2 Xbox controllers which are remaining, the 1693 models. I haven't actually fixed those yet. I need to order some parts for those. I then purchased a Xbox One S 1TB. Unfortunately, like I said, I couldn't fix it. So I also purchased at the same time 5 official Nintendo Switch docks which have now arrived. And I purchased the 1TB hard drive from myself and also the Xbox One S donor motherboard. So I paid myself £15 for the donor motherboard, which I think is a fair price, and I paid myself £20 for the 1TB hard drive, which I then used in another repair. So I recouped £35 of the money that I spent off the Xbox One S 1TB. As you saw in the last video, the Xbox One S hard drive did in fact work. So that left us with a grand total of £75.50 in the bank. So once I've got some money in the bank, I went and purchased a Xbox One X 1TB for £70 as the winning bid. The postage was £9.99, so yeah, I am £5 in the hole, I must admit, or £4.49 to be exact. So let's write that down and we'll update the totals. So as you can see now, we have the Xbox One X 1TB, and the issue with that apparently is just no display. So we'll add that there, and as you can see we are £4.49 in the hole, but I did say at the start that if I need to spend a little bit more just to get some bargains, then I will, because that's what we would do on a normal day-to-day basis. If we need that extra few pound, we would probably put it. So I didn't mind spending an extra £4.49. To be honest, I didn't anticipate the auction actually getting to £70. £70 was my maximum bid, and I didn't anticipate it getting to £70, but it did. So it kind of left me in the hole a little bit, but I had no choice because I'd already purchased it. So we're going to try and fix that today, as well as the Nintendo Switch docks. So here we are, this is a box full of docks, and these retail for around about £45 brand new. I'm expecting to be able to sell these for around about £30 each if I can get them working. A nice amount of profit here considering what we paid for them. So let's hope that we can get some of these working, shall we? So we have the 5 docks here. I don't know what's wrong with them. It said on the listing that basically the docks were faulty and they were purchased as part of a larger lot, and that the seller intended to fix them at some point but never got around to it because he started work again after lockdown. I don't know whether to believe that or whether he's just pulling my leg, but that's what the listing said. So I took a chance, and for the price of them, I really can't complain. These was just over £5 each, so there should be a nice amount of profit in these if I can get them working. All I need to do to recoup my money is get one working and then sell it for £30. So there's going to be some decent money in these. If I get more than one working, we are guaranteed profit. So I've got here a switch which I know works on the dock. I also have a HDMI cable. This is going to my TV, and I'm going to get a power cable as well. So here is a 15-volt power source. So we should be able to test these. Let's first of all see if any of them actually do work. We never know. When we're buying on eBay, some of them do work. I've had that before, where it was the actual switch that was faulty. So we'll start with this one. No particular reason. Now I'm going to plug in the AC adapter. Well, quote AC adapter. And also, let's plug in the HDMI. There we go. So there is number one. So first of all, let's see if we get a green light on the dock. Okay, that one, no green light at all. So not picking up at all on the dock. Nope, absolutely nothing on number one. So no power at all on that one. Let's try and sort these based on what issue it might have. So no power at all on that one. This preliminary test is just going to be basically to try and figure out what's wrong with them, because I don't normally fix docks because of the cost of them, so I don't have the parts to hand, which means I need to fix the Xbox One X, and then I need to basically resell that, and then I can buy some parts for this, because right now we are absolutely broke. Okay, we have a green light on that one. Let's see if it shows up on the TV. No signal. No signal at all. So it's showing up on the dock that it's registering, but it's not coming out onto the TV. So no video output on that one. Let's try the next one. So no video output there. That one's got no back, so I might just use that for parts. No power. And it actually feels like the port itself is damaged. It doesn't feel like it's quite going in right. So let me get a breakout cable here. Okay, this breakout cable here is attached to my cables, so it's all cable tied in. But basically this is what I use every single day to test Nintendo Switches. And basically I'll just pop that into there. And then I can use the cable here to check it. Yep, still no power on that one. So no power at all on that one as well. No power on that one as well. And again, that one, they feel really weak. So again, that one's no power. So it feels like it's coming out too easy. That one feels like it locks in, but the rest don't. So this one's got no display, which is going to be probably easier to fix than the rest of them. Or at least I would imagine it is. Like I said, I've never actually fixed one of these, so I don't actually know. Yeah, that is definitely lighting straight up. As soon as I plug it in, it picks up. And there's still no signal. I'm going to make sure, this is my own dock, I'm going to make 100% sure that it's not the switch that's causing it to not dock. So I'll pop that to one side. I'm going to pop my own dock in. So this is mine. Straight away it picks up. And straight away, as you can see, it's picking up on my TV, which means that it's not the switch, it's definitely the dock. Okay. Right, so some of these have got no power then, or 4 of them have got no power, and the 5th one is basically no display. So we're going to take these apart and we're going to see what we can do about getting them working. So like I said, I've never actually taken one of these apart, so I don't actually know how to get into them. I'm going to take this one, probably going to be using this one for parts, I'm going to be honest, because the problem is there's no back on it. So I think, given the fact that it's got no power and it's got no back on it, I think it's going to cost a little bit too much to get it working to a point where we can resell it and actually make some money off it. So I'll probably use this one for parts and then just basically try and resell the rest of them. I think that's going to be the best option. So let's take my Y0 screwdriver and I'm going to start removing screws. Okay, and as you can see there, that port is definitely liquid damage, so that's going to need a little bit of a clean, but we also need to investigate the inside of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush and I'm going to give it a scrub inside the port if I can. So just like I would clean a normal port, I'm going to do the same here, making sure that the bristles actually go inside the port itself. There we go. Okay, let's have a look at that now. That looks a little bit better. There are a couple of darker pins, but it does look a bit better. And this is the main board itself. So I'm going to investigate the main board. I'm going to look for any signs of corrosion, any signs of damaged components, anything like that. Fault finding is generally a fairly simple process if you know what you're looking for. And it would be even easier if the microscope was in focus. This here looks like a fuse to me. That's going directly to the USB-C input port. So that looks like a fuse. So I'm going to check that fuse in continuity mode. That's going to tell me if we've got a continuous path from the top to the bottom. We do. So the fuse is good. Okay. So let's just keep scanning. D92B17. I'm not sure if that's the power management chip or not. I'll check that out in a minute. Got what looks like a 5-volt regulator there. And that's probably going to be to provide 5 volts to the HDMI port, I would assume. Could be wrong. We have some filters here on the USB ports, I think. Is it the USB? Yes, it's the USB ports, okay. So filters on the USB ports. So that filter's good. These just filter out noise on the data lines. And that filter's good. No crosstalk, excellent. I'm expecting to see some filters around the HDMI port, but they're probably going to be on the other side of the board. So let's just check around this short here, D92B17. Just checking around here for shorts. No shorts. Awesome. Okay, so there's no shorts around there, that's good. We've got a couple of MOSFETs here. These look like the same MOSFETs that are on the Nintendo Switch itself. Let's check these for shorts. Not seeing any. Let's check this coil. Good. No short. No short. No shorts. Let's just check this for shorts. I'm not sure what this area is. No short. Okay. So I'm not finding any issues on this side of the board by the look of it. Yep, no issues. So let's just scan this area. And again, I'm not seeing much of anything here. No signs of corrosion, so I don't think I even need to check for shorts. There's no signs of corrosion. So I don't think that we're going to have any blown chips or anything. D92B55, that's going to be another power management chip, I would assume. And I'm assuming that this is going to be the main graphics chip because it's so close to the HDMI port. One of these two chips, GL3510, why does that ring a bell? That seems familiar to me. Okay, and 32P048, never heard of that one. That's an ST Micron chip. So I'm assuming we will be able to get that chip if we ever have any problems with those. Alright. Inside the HDMI port itself looks absolutely mint. And the USB-C port, I'm trying to work out if that's damaged pins. I think it may be. I think that may have some damaged pins on the USB-C port, so that could be why it's not working. Okay, so other than that liquid damage and possibly a little bit of damage here on this USB-C port, I'm not seeing any signs of any kind of damage. So I think that the worst case scenario on this board is going to be the USB-C port. Although that said, the fuse is good, and usually when we get a bad port it would blow the fuse if it was shorted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to hook it back up to the dock. So I'm going to basically make it like I've got it inside the case, just to make it quicker to test. Okay, so I think I need to take another one apart just so I can figure out what the actual issue is. So let's pop that to one side. I'm going to pop this to one side as well, and I'm going to take apart the one with no display. Alright, so this one has no display. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this board here on this dock. So I know this is good, or at least it should be good. So I'm going to try this board from the one with no power. Just see if I can isolate the problem on both of them at the same time. Interesting. No power. Whoops. That wasn't meant to happen, was it? Well, I'll sort that a little later on. But that has no power with this board. Okay, so this board has no power, definitely. 100% this board has no power. But does this part of it work? There we go. Okay, so that is picking up. So this panel here works. Let's see if that was the cause of no display. Unfortunately not. It was not the cause of no display, which means there's something on the board which is causing it to not pick up on the TV. Let's just give the HDMI port a bit of a wiggle. Just make sure it's not that. I'm looking through this screen. Nope, it's not. Okay, so no display there on that board whatsoever. So now I need to figure out what is actually causing no display. And unfortunately, I don't know these circuits, which means I don't know the chips, which means I don't know what the cause is. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research and figure out what each chip does, and then I will resume when I know more. Right, so doing a little bit of research, it says on teardowns that it's controlled by an ST-DP2550, which I can't find on this board. The only chip I can find by ST Micron on this board is this chip here, so I'm thinking probably this chip with a rebrand, or maybe this is a new revision or a different revision or something, I don't know. But I do find some EMI filters here. So I'm going to check these EMI filters first and just see if we have any blown filters on these, on the HDMI circuit. So again, my multimeter is going to be in continuity mode. Nope, these are absolutely fine. Looking at these now, they actually go to this connector here. They are going to be for display, I would assume, but they go to that connector there. I'm not really seeing much of anything else here. I can check a few areas just for any shorts. According to a Google search, the GL3510 is a USB hub controller, which would control the USB ports. So let's just find any kind of issues around here. I'm probably going to end up changing this chip out for the one that's on the other board. I'm not seeing anything. Oh, what's this? I don't know what that is, but it's shorted. So that's shorted to ground. Let's have a look on the other one. Wait, is that meant to be a cap? Wait a second. What is that? Or is it a fuse? Okay, that's got continuity. Okay, and it's meant to be shorted. It's meant to have a path to ground. Okay. Well, apparently it's meant to have a path to ground. Unless we've got the same fault on two boards. But what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to take this board here that's got no power, and I'm going to steal this chip from it. And that's because I believe that this is probably what controls the display port to HDMI circuit. So I'm going to steal this chip from this board that's dead, and I'm basically going to put it onto the board that works, but without any display. Okay, so that's the chip that I'm going to be putting on. That's a lot of solder on there. Okay, so pin number 1 is in the top right hand side. That was an awful lot of solder. Just tacking the chip down, and then I'm going to pop some flux on there. Surface tension. No. There you go. Went a little bit out there with surface tension. Ah, damn it. Well, this is a little bit tricky. So the reason I'm struggling here is because there's a gap underneath the board. So the board isn't quite level. We'll take that chip back off again. Straight in the pads. And I'm going to try and prop something underneath it just to stop it wobbling. Okay. Struggling with these. I need a board holder for them. Alright, I think that's fine. I'll just hope these are not super sensitive to heat. That's an acceptable position. So I'll swap that chip over, albeit with great difficulty, I'm not going to lie there. But I've swapped that chip over. I need it to cool down, but I do need to clean the board as well, so I'm going to do that while it's cooling. It's always best to clean off flux when the board is warm, because it cleans off easier. If you leave it to go hard, it will take forever to come off. So just use a bit of isopropyl alcohol and the toothbrush there and just clean it. And I'm probably going to be putting these to one side and fixing them as I go along, because I don't want to spend too much time on one purchase, just because I want to try and fix the Xbox One X, because that's going to be where the bulk of my money is going to come from. Okay, we still have a green light, that's good. So that means that chip shouldn't be faulty. Let's see if we get a display. No. That's a shame. So it's not that chip, unfortunately. Let me just make sure by unplugging it and plugging it back in. It's picking it up, that's the weird thing. It is picking up the fact that it's got a display, or rather the fact that it's got a source there. It's just not outputting to the screen, which is very weird. So I think I'll probably investigate these a little further off camera, because it'll take too long. I want to get to the Xbox One X, because then I can buy some parts to actually fix these. I can buy some of those power management chips, some of the ST chips if I need them, and then we can actually get some things fixed to resell. So I'll look at the Xbox One X and I'll put these away for now. So apparently, according to the listing, I have an Xbox One X here with no display. So let's take a look, let's see what's going on, and then hopefully we'll fix this and we should make a nice amount of profit on this. We should get at least £70 or £80 profit if I can get it working. So let's see how it looks. I'll pop that on the side. It turns on. Let's turn on the TV. We do have no signal. Did we get a free disc? That is the most important thing. No, that sucks. It was worth a try. Okay, and there's still no display, but I'm leaving the countdown to go down. You can't see it very well, but I'm leaving the countdown to go down. It's just coming up to 30 seconds, and the reason for that is because that's going to tell me whether it's got a hard drive fault, based on whether it shuts itself off after around about 30 seconds. And the console is still on, so I don't think it's going to be a hard drive fault, which means it's most likely going to be a retimer issue. So let's see what we can do about fixing it, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to get this thing apart, and then we'll see what's wrong with it. Okay, so step number one, I am going to basically test the hard drive and just make sure that it works before I go ahead with diagnosing the display issue. So just off to the side here, I've got a SATA cable. This goes to USB and that goes to the computer. So I'm going to load up Crystal Disk Info. This is a piece of software which allows me to read a hard drive and just find out the health status and There we go, ST1000LM035 is a 1TB drive. It looks to me like this has possibly been formatted. So let's just open up disk part. I'm going to type in list disk, select disk 4, list partition, and yeah, okay, this has been wiped. So someone's taken this apart to wipe the drive, which, I mean, I can't blame them. It's absolutely fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up the Xbox hard drive software. So if I just copy this URL or the file path and then to open up command prompt as an administrator, I'm going to change, I'm going to change the directory to the location. I'm going to load up the create Xbox drive batch file, and I'm going to prepare this drive so it's going to actually work. So we want option A, then we want number 4, then we want to press Y, and then we're going to select option B for a 1TB standard. And this is going to wipe the drive, and it's going to prepare it and create the partitions needed. We're going to see a load of pop-ups here. This is fine. And there we go. Okay, that took literally 51 seconds. Okay, so the drive is now prepared for the computer. So that is a 1TB hard drive, and it does look like the original hard drive as well. That is the ones that are used in the Xbox One X, which is fine. That's not going to be the cause of no display. It will come up on safe mode if that was the cause. So it's not going to be that. It's definitely going to be something on the HDMI circuit. Okay, so we've got the HDMI port here, and again, that looks like a factory port. If I just get that in focus there, it looks like a factory port. It looks like factory soldering, which is perfect, which means it's not been messed with. And I can't see any signs of burn marks around this chip. This is the ESD-IC, and you can't actually buy those, so we're in a little bit of trouble if this is failed. I do think I have one of these actually. I might have one. But then if we come down here, we've got the HDMI encoder, the read driver, read timer, whatever you want to call it. It is responsible for taking the audio and video signals and muxing them and then sending them out to the HDMI port, or actually a display port, but these go to HDMI instead. It's actually a display port driver, hence the name TDP for display port, Texas Instruments display port 158. So this is going to be the most likely cause, but we can confirm that 100% if we use the multimeter. So I'll set the multimeter into resistance mode, and I'm going to pop the black probe on ground, and the red probe I'm going to pop on C50 just here. And we get a ohm reading of 246 ohms. We should be expecting around about 3000 ohms. So that is definitely a bad HDMI encoder. So I'm going to get that changed, and this console should work once it's done. So I'm going to use hot air set to 460 degrees Celsius at 40% airflow. These are very thick boards and they take a lot to remove this chip. Any second now, we should start to see it come up. Just like that. Perfect. So here is a replacement chip. As you can see by the bottom, there's going to be no solder on that. It's brand new. These cost around about £4.50 from AliExpress when you buy them in packs of 10. And that's exactly how many I buy at a time. So that cost me around about £4.50, but I will work out the exact cost of this chip. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some hot air and I'm going to flow this down partially in place before I add any flux. Basically just tack it down. Pin number 1 is bottom right. There we go, so that's tacked roughly in place, and then I'm going to add some flux and I can flow it down properly. And we should see surface tension take this chip in a minute. Surface tension is not being my friend today. However, that does look perfectly aligned. Beautiful. That should be done. Okay, so the chip is soldered correctly. I have just confirmed that. So what I'm going to do while the board is still a little bit warm, like I said earlier on, it is best to clean up the board while the board is warm. Flux, when it dries up, it becomes really hard and tacky and it sticks to the board. Makes it really difficult to get off. So I always clean it up as soon as I've finished replacing the chip if I can help it. That allows it to come clean. Okay, get the clamp back on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the hard drive back together, and I'm going to put it back together just enough for testing. So I'm not going to put it in the case, I'm just literally going to put it back together for testing, and as long as it all works, then I'll put it all back together fully. Okay, so let's plug that in there. HDMI cable, turn it on. Do we get a display? Yes, we get a display. That's fantastic. That means that we can get this working as long as it's the right disk drive. Right, so I've got myself a controller, and because I don't have the sync button hooked up, I'm going to plug it in through USB. I will test the sync button once I put it back together, but for the sake of the testing process, I'm not going to. That connects. Does it stay synced? Yes, it does. Troubleshoot, and you can see that offline system update is greyed out, but not for long. So I've got here my external SSD, which I'm going to be using. This is going to pee Microsoft off a little bit because I'm using a Sony SSD. So this should have OSU 1 on it. Let's have a look, see if it accepts it. Looks like it does. Okay, so I'm going to let this run. I'm going to let it update, and then once it's installed the software, I'll come back and we'll get it reassembled, all clean, and then try and get it sold. Right, okay, so that's installed. It's asking me to update, which is absolutely fine. I have already connected an Ethernet to this, so basically I've got 1 gigabit per second internet, so I always use Ethernet when I'm running through updates because it's just a lot faster than 300 megabits per second over Wi-Fi. So let's run this update. There we go. And it shouldn't take long at all to download 1.1 gigabyte. Right, so what happened there then? Because I've just gone to grab a cup of coffee, come back and it's shut down. Did it overheat? Right, so while that's doing, I'm going to make sure the fan's running. No, the fan is not running. Why is the fan not running? Did I plug it in? I'm going to be careful because it's turned on. Oh, I forgot to plug the fan in. I always do that on these. Well, that would explain why it shut off. Okay, it's not going to hurt anything. So let's just leave this to run again then. Oh, that was a bit silly of me. 97% and 100. There we go. Yep, it did overheat. There we go. It's fine. 4K is working. Excellent. Keep resolution. Go back to settings. Make sure it stayed in 4K. And it did. So if I just move my big head out the way there, you can see we've got 4K. Excellent. It's very small in this workshop. That's the problem. So there's not really a lot of room. All right, that's absolutely fantastic, and it's working on the internet as well because it wouldn't have had the update otherwise. Let's unplug the Ethernet, and let's make sure it picks up a wireless connection. I've unplugged the Ethernet. Go away. And yep, it picks up the coder. and it stopped installing some of the software because I disconnected the internet. That's fine. Checking connection. Good. And the internet is working perfect. Okay, I'm going to log into my account and then I'll make sure that it's not banned. And there we go. That is working with my account. Awesome. Final thing to do is just to basically test the game and make sure that works. It takes in a disc. Does it accept the disc? Ooh. Yeah. Can you hear that? It needs a disk drive. That sucks. Oh, that sucks. So this wasn't noted on the listing, which is pretty annoying. So actually, let's turn it on and let's see what's actually happening. Let's see what's going on with the disk drive, shall we? Okay, I might have just realigned that. Looks like it's taken a drop. Just plug the HDMI cable back in, and just as I thought, it did install that boot logo, which is great. Don't know why that flickered then. Possibly flux in the port, but that'll get cleaned out. Who's playing today? No one. Yep. Big head in the way. Assassin's Creed is working. So it looks like I've just realigned it, which is awesome. I don't have the eject button hooked up, so let's just eject it, pop it back in again. Ah, it needs a new disk drive. Actually, if I think it's just getting stuck, maybe because of a bit of dust. So if I just do it a few times, just so as it loosens itself up. See, that went in okay that time. I think it just needs loosening up. Perfect that time. Basically, just inserting and ejecting the disc is fixing it. Pretty much. So basically what's happening is the mechanism here is pretty much getting stuck at the end, and it didn't know exactly what position it was in. And because of that, it was basically just trying to move itself. But it looks absolutely fine now. It's taking in the disc perfectly. and it's working absolutely fine. Cool, no need to replace the disk drive. I'll continue to test that. I'll replace the disk drive if absolutely necessary. Looks like it's taking a little bang, possibly during transit, but that's fine. I am happy with the fact that it's working now, so it looks like we just needed to basically get it to realign itself. Perfect, I'm happy. And there we go, that is back together and ready for sale. So let me just confirm that everything still works fine. So I'm going to make sure that the disk drive works, I'm going to make sure that the sync button works, and also that the eject button works as well. So let's just double check everything. Eject button, awesome. Sync button, gotta wait a minute for it to boot up for that, that's fine. Xbox logo comes on. Ah, I don't think the sync button works. Oh, that's gonna suck. It's still loading the green screen at the minute, but that's gonna suck if that's not working. Oh wow, that does suck. That does suck. Right, okay, we need to fix this sync button, but if we end up having to replace it, then that's going to cut into profits even more, which is super annoying because obviously that's less money. I do have spare sync buttons. Now the problem is I didn't actually buy them. So I've got a console which I purchased from a viewer of mine. I did post a video to the channel on that. But the console that I purchased was basically £40, and I ended up taking the case off and putting a case which I bought off eBay onto it. And the reason for that was, number one, it was scratched, and number two was that it was the limited edition white case which I wanted to put on it. So some of my viewers will remember that console where I had to basically run a load of jumper wires to the RAM, and basically I've still got the old case. I've still got the Project Scorpio case, so I don't know what I could possibly value that sync button at, because they generally go for around £20, but I only paid £20 for the case. So maybe I'm thinking £10, possibly £10 value, I don't know. Let's just see if we can figure this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically unscrew this, and I'm going to connect another one up and see if it works. But like I said, it's going to suck if we have to replace it, because that's less money that we're going to make off it. But I'm thinking, considering I've got the entire console which I put into another case which I paid £20 for, if I value the sync button at £10, yeah, it's damaged. The connector's damaged. Let's just see what we can do with the connector itself. So this bit here is what's damaged. You can see there where it's crushed. Let me just make sure that the connector on the board isn't damaged. Nope, it doesn't appear to be. However, that's had a prior repair attempt. I'm almost certain that's had a prior repair. I can't see very well because it is hooked up to the system. So it's very difficult to see, and it's out of focus as well. Let me try and get that in focus. Yeah, that looks to me like it's been replaced in the past. That looks like conformal coating there. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, that's conformal coating. This has had a repair attempt in the past. Right, okay. Let's just see what we can do with the connector itself. I don't think there's going to be anything I can do with that. Well, I've tried to bend that back in, but I don't know. Oh, haha! It works. It's making a contact. All right. Well, it looks like I've bent it back in, so that's fine. I will note that on the listing. But if I come across one cheap from now until when it sells, the actual, the actual sync button itself, then I'll probably end up just replacing it, to be honest. But in terms of making a profit, that should be fine. So I'm going to make 100% sure once again that the console has full functionality. It turns on. Eject button works. And the sync button, I do need to wait again for a few minutes. There you go. And that is going to be the end of the episode. So just to recap then, this had a HDMI retimer issue, which we fixed. It also had a sync button issue, which we fixed, and a disk drive issue, which we've also fixed. I should expect to get around about £150 as console only. So there should be a nice £70 profit in this for us, or around about 65 once I've taken the cost of the chip as well. The rest of the parts didn't need replacing. I could just fix those as they were. And yeah, we should get some nice profit off this. So we've still got the docks which we need to fix. I'll probably fix them off camera. I'll try and get some footage if I can, but I need to buy some parts. So the problem is I need to sell this before I can buy parts to fix those, because we're already in the red by £5. So, or £4.49 to be exact. But I'll get this sold, hopefully make some money, and then I can buy some parts to fix those for the next episode. But that's going to be it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye for now.